So just a couple of words about satsang. Satsang is, in a way, a suspension of the habitual mind. It's a meeting where you are turning your attention to presence, to the effortless awareness that you may recognize in some form or the other. It is a form of resting. It's a meeting of friends, a relaxing meeting of friends, and just to see what unfolds. There is a habitual tendency, which we're all familiar with, to seek, to pursue, to try to fill a void or to satisfy the mind by keeping the mind occupied, or by keeping the mind entertained, having a problem to resolve, having certain goals to attain. And these habits that we all share, they have one thing in common, which is some sort of hidden resistance to simple being, to simple presence. Presence is, one could say, it's a non-doing. There is nothing to prove, to pursue, to show, it's a spacious presence, spacious being. And the mind cannot be still with that. When the mind conceives that, it creates an image out of this stillness as maybe being a form of emptiness. Then it sort of pursues it as a spiritual emptiness that I need to attain. Or it may denigrate it and say, oh, well, that's just dead space. So from the mind point of view, there is no sense of the presence, since that is beyond the mind. Everything that we experience it as presence before the mind kicks in, before the mind engages. There is a non-engagement. And that non-engagement is peace. It's beingness. Free of any problems, free of any issues. And it's upon this well-being, it's upon this peaceful presence, this happy, tranquil presence, that the mind appears. And it's all fine, really no issues. Then there is the impression of a problem that arises when somehow we pick up the belief that I am mortal, that I am an event in time and space. when this habitual inherited belief arises, then there is a feeling of being limited and unhappy, lacking. And then the mind engages to try to figure a way towards happiness. But the mind's path, the mind's pursuit of happiness, go in the world of perceptions. It follows the senses. It imagines a happiness that is the result of a certain activity or the result of a certain experience. And then you find yourself engaged in pursuing and avoiding, and that is quite unhappy. So the invitation is to recognize what already is, to recognize the tranquility, the well-being that already is, to recognize that what you truly are is already complete, whole and complete, not in need of any repair, not lacking anything. And in order to come to this understanding, it is important to contemplate what you truly are. The question is, am I a mortal body-mind that arises in time and space? Am I indeed what thought says I am? A man, a woman, a mother, a father? Am I indeed what my feelings say I am? Or am I the aware presence, the screen upon which these impressions arise? That's a core question in your contemplation of happiness, of eternal happiness, peace and happiness. As long as the impression of mortality remains in your space, you will find yourself in angst. So if you have any questions that you want to explore, anything that you want to look at, please feel free to pose the question in the chat box or by simply speaking it, since this is an interactive hangout. Because to just make a discourse about non-duality it can just be shallow and wordy. But when you're exploring a question that you're looking at, it's more relevant. So I welcome you to share whatever questions you want to explore. Any questions?
Magdi,
Yes.
can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Just kind of had a thing about, you know, how when you kind of went over something similar, I think, about a week ago. So like if I'm sitting here doing this or I'm meditating, it seems like there's a certain level of clarity between, you know, awareness and, you know, outline of my hands, thought, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, if I go to work, if I'm just sitting there, it seems like it's pretty clear. But then if I start to dialogue, it's fairly clear. But then at some point, it kind of like goes out the window, so to speak. There's like some identity comes into play, and it might go back to being clear later, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But there's like a I guess a time frame where there's some you know, some, well, the clarity goes out the window, so to speak.
Right.
You know,
Right.
that's,
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's just kind of, I guess, you know, and my thought, of course, is just kind of to continue working on inquiry, et cetera, and eventually it'll get to the point where that's not the case, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I don't, you know, like I said, like when I'm sitting here, it's pretty clear.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. That's that's that sounds like it. Now I can share with you some hints about
Sure.
how to sort of accelerate the process. Basically, now that you know peace and happiness is not achieved in relationships or in experiences or in situations, you recognize that there is a peace and happiness that's completely independent of any conditions. You recognize that, and then of course you say that you lose it in certain situations. You know, you find yourself, you know, back into I guess the me structure, and
Yeah, exactly.
justifying, defending, blame, whatever, you know, the whole dynamic, you know, gets back, and then you recollect that all of that is not the way. And
Yeah.
so you cease, you know, you cease engaging, and you find yourself back again into, you know, tranquility, ease of being, you know, the natural mind, and then back and forth. Yes, so it does go that way in most cases, I would say. Now, but you have a very good helper. You have a very good assistant that can assist you in sort of adjusting your path. Like when you are, you know, driving to a certain destination, you're driving and you don't know where to go, but you have the GPS. Okay, so GPS tells you, okay, you know, there is like a green line on the map, and if you get off that green line, well, I'm just going to think of a different GPS. It might go red, you know. Okay, go, you know, you need to make a right here. So you have a very good GPS available to you, Doug, and that is to be attentive to the unhappiness that arises in your body mind. So it's sort of to become sensitive to this contraction, this narrowing that arises. And there is you're relaxed and open, and then somebody says, "Oh, gee, you know, I read the article that you wrote, and it really stinks," you know. And then you start to feel this, this tighten. So that's you need to notice that. To notice that it's starting to shut down. Okay, it's starting to contract, and then you have an option. You have an option to say, well, you know what, I don't like you too much either. Okay, and I also read the article that you wrote last week, and it also stank. Which you get defensive, you say, and then you will notice that it gets a little tighter, and before you know it, it just shuts down, and now you're in the emotion. Yeah, you're into like, now there is no way out of that. You're like, your face is red, and your heart is pumping, and you feel like you're ready to battle this person. But there is a process to that. You don't go immediately from well-being and natural mind being tranquil to the emotion. There is a process that is very available to you. Your feeling state is available to you. You can notice the unhappiness that arises, or the contraction that arises in your space when somebody, for example, is critical of you. And then you have the option of remaining still, to experiment with remaining still, because there is a choice that you can make. And if you don't make that choice of being still, then the habitual track is right there. You see, you will find yourself engaging into a repetitive pattern that you've done in different situations for a good part of your life. You will find yourself again engaged into that. So that bifurcation is an important space for you to become aware of, that you have a choice, and you need to make the choice of remaining still as the initial contraction is starting to occur, of remaining still, allowing it to be, and just noticing that, oh, somebody cut me off in traffic, and how did they do that? You say, you notice, and you don't go into, oh, I'm going to take their license number, I'm going to follow them up, I'm going to blow the horn on them, I'm going to try to cut them off. You see, there is a moment of choice. So you have, what's available to you is your body mind will express truly how you feel. It will express the peace, which is the peace we are feeling right now. It will also express the emotion or the feeling, the me feeling that arises. And that me feeling is completely transparent to you. It's completely available to you. It's important that you don't make a problem out of that feeling, the initial feeling. There is no threat yet. There is no threat to you from that initial feeling, because we defend ourselves because we feel threatened. Yes. If we're not feeling threatened, we would be okay. We would not really worry so much about it. But we feel threatened. In fact, there is no real threat yet. There's nobody coming at you to punch you or anything like that. There's no threat. It's just a a sensation. We can refer to it as a psychological threat or something like that, but there is no actual threat. So you need to stay with that, remain still with the initial appearance of the me contraction. And stillness is peace. Stillness does not require any effort. It actually requires a dropping, a dropping of that position. You know, the position is a relaxation. So you relax that position and you allow whatever is appearing on the screen to appear. The other thing that you also can contemplate, and you can notice that as you do a statistical analysis of the unhappiness in your life, that whenever there is unhappiness in your life in this moment, there is behind the scene an identification that you have adopted with the body-mind, with yourself. You have identified the openness of being, which is right now this openness of being. You've identified it with a me. I am being threatened, or you're saying that to me, you see. You notice that whenever you take this openness of being and contract it into a person, a man, a woman, Magdi, dog, whatever, you contract that in me, the smarter, I'm the superior, the subordinate, I'm the father, you're the son, I'm whatever. As soon as you do that, there will be an unhappiness. You need to notice that statistically. Okay, you may notice it once or twice, but notice that it's always the case. Whenever there is unhappiness, there is a me identification. And whenever there is peace, there is just no me and no other. When you're in peace, like when you're happy, like right now, we're happy together, peaceful together, there's no me and you. Nobody is trying to outdo anybody or take anybody else's position or none of that. It's just not happening. And you will find that whenever there is this happiness, this peace, there is no me and another. So why not live with this happiness? Why not live with the happiness? You see, why assume the me position when we could just be, oh, you insulted me, interesting. Yeah. It's interesting. You're feeling this way. Gee, you know, if there is room for a conversation, you can wonder, well, why are you feeling this way? And they may tell you their story, because it's always a story. They'll tell you their story, and you say, well, okay, that's interesting story. I mean, I don't necessarily share it with you, but I wish you the best, you see, because nothing is being insulted. Why? Because you have not adopted the position of being a target. You have not adopted the position of being a me, an object, a form. You're just remaining as the openness. The arrows goes into the space. You know, it goes into the space, and after a while it loses its momentum, and it will follow a parabolic path down to the ground. But if you are interested in you as you want to affirm you know, your position, your power, your dominance, your intelligence, and you know, and then you've got to do the battle. You've got to battle with others who are playing the same game, you know. And to a certain extent, we enjoy that. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
And at some point, we may get tired of it and say, wait a minute, all there is out of that is just pain. No real, no happiness comes out of that. So you start letting it go, and you start trusting the peace and beauty and the effortlessness of presence. It has no personal agenda,
Mm-hmm.
because it's all a divine order in a way, and so we can just celebrate, enjoy, revel in whatever appears to us. You could say it's God send, or it's the universe sending this, creating this conversation here. We can enjoy it together, enjoy this conversation and the friendship, the presence. Doesn't have to have a direction, you see, because direction is always sort of negating. It's narrowing the space into a track.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to follow a track towards something. I mean, the body mind is gonna die. We all know that. It doesn't take a brain surgeon. Big deal. We take that with simplicity and recognizing that what we are is not a mortal body mind. Mortal body mind is an experience in time and space. But what we are is not an experience in time and space. We are the eternal presence that doesn't start and end. It is, this understanding will deepen in your contemplation and in your exploration. But in the roller coaster ride, there is a choice to be made whenever the ride starts of ceasing and desisting, just being still. Inwardly, I'm not talking about being still in the world. You might need to do something in the world, you do it. You may need to step back, you step back. You may need to, show your ID, whatever you need to do, you do. But internally, you let go of trying to fix your feeling. We're often trying to fix our feeling. And we fix our feelings by avoiding our feeling. But it doesn't really fix anything. It just keeps us avoiding, and meaning when you're avoiding, you're contracting. Or pursuing. When you're pursuing, there is also a different type of contraction. And our feelings don't define us, except if we choose that for them to define us, then we've chosen to be defined. But what you truly are, like right now, this open presence is not defined, has no definition. This presence is not male or a female presence, it's just presence. There is great peace in being undefined, because truth is undefined. Definitions are at the mind level, and they're only pertain to phenomenal events. But truth is not phenomenal reality. What you are, consciousness, is not a phenomenal event. It's not at the mind level. And it's not defined. It is the definer, but not the defined. So also at work, there may be some patterns that get triggered. It's a good laboratory for you to notice some of your me patterns that get triggered. And it's good because then you see them. Mm-hmm. Because they may be dormant and maybe you don't see them at home or whatever, with friends, but at work, certain aspects of this me that are in your body mind get triggered. So it's good when they're arising. It's a good contemplation to watch them arising and dissolving in the space rather than arising for you, the man, you, the pattern. Jump on it. Yeah. And you see, it's arising to dissolve. It's arising to be seen. And not to be fixed, because when something arises, it's just like, it arises like the mist in the morning or on top of the lake. It arises in the early morning. It just arises. It's a process of interaction that some of the water particles sort of vaporize and turn to mist, and in some time the rays of the sun dissolve all of that in the space. So in a way, there is a similarity. The sun sort of dissolving the early morning mist over the lake, that in your work environment, a certain processes get triggered, some identifications get triggered, but they're arising, so you allow them to be without trying to affirm yourself. It's a habit to bring back the me back into power, into position. No, it's that is the me that is arising to dissolve. And in your contemplation, you have the option to allow it to arise and dissolve in the space, or to jump on it and keep it back into your body mind. Don't evaluate. Don't try to make out of yourself a saintly person or a realized person or an awakened person. There is no such thing. It is consciousness that is awakened. It's already so. There's nothing you need to do to awaken consciousness. It's just a recognition of the wakefulness of consciousness. You see? And it's recognized in this peaceful moment. It's recognized as peace. That's the perfume of presence, the perfume of consciousness is peace. So when we are judging ourselves, it's as if we're telling consciousness, presence, truth, wait a minute, hold off. I'm going to go down in this alley and have an unhappy time. I'll come back later. So you go down into self-judgment or self-evaluation or judging others or judging. That's what you're doing. But yet all along, you know that what you love is peace and happiness, you see. So if you recognize that what you love is peace and happiness, then you don't need to tell consciousness, hold off. I'm gonna go see how I'm doing, or oh, I haven't been doing better or doing worse. Don't perceive yourself in time and space. Time and space arise in you. It's erroneous to perceive yourself in time and space, because right now this perception arises in you. So this quote unquote space arises in you. You have no borders. Awareness has no borders. The perception arises in you. Time and space are phenomenal in the phenomenal realm. And it's okay. It's perfectly fine. It's no issue. But when you perceive yourself existing in time and space, then you are in the impression of mortality, between birth and death. And there's great unhappiness with that. You see, peace is our true nature. It's effortless. Transparency, openness, ease of being. It's innate to consciousness. Love, tenderness, affection, empathy, compassion. The interest in sharing are innate to consciousness. It's never trying to show itself off, that, oh, look, it's not about impressing or anything like that. It's just happy. It's a living happiness, an expression of happiness, an expression of peace. It's already so. So just we recognize that. We recognize the beauty, the peace of presence. And we say yes to that in a way. It's already there. I mean, we don't need to turn away from the peace and happiness into, oh, what's happening to me? When is it going to happen to me? What happened to me yesterday? No, who cares? It's all gone and dissolved. Who cares about yesterday, tomorrow? It's just this moment of pure presence. She's so sweet, so open, so loving, so easy, so void of conflict. We don't need to carry, to carry what happened. What happened? What happened? Oh my God, what happened? What did I do? What did she do? What did he do? No, no, that's unnecessary. It's unnecessary. It's it's unhappy, and it's unhappy for everyone, for every, not just. It's unhappy across the board. Okay, Doug, you good?
Good. Thanks.
Okay, thank you for your question. So if there is any other question.
Magdi.
Yes.
This is John.
Hello, John. Hello.
Hi, Magdi.
Yes.
I have an example tonight. Um, like I set up in the car to listen and to you, and somebody comes by and they're playing their music really loud, and I have to do a Wi-Fi, so I'm listening. So in this idea of being present and making choices, I mean, I hear those things, um, but I'm also confused sometimes of practicality. So the question would be is what's practical sometimes, because obviously the idea of like, well, move to another space. I realized that I wouldn't be able to listen to the satsang with that going on. And so there were feelings, and and I allowed that to be. Um, and I did look for a different place, and also there was no other place. So I realized in the end that I I wanted something to be, and it may not be. So I may not be able to do the satsang. So I realized that aspect of it. but I often asking the question is really being the answer is coming as I'm asking the question, but still, it is this part of what's practical sometimes, because often I feel like, it's like, well, do I just sit there and say I'm consciousness, I should be
Right.
established, or,
Yes.
and
Yes.
tolerate stuff,
Right. Okay, John. So there is a practical aspect, that you're in order to follow the satsang, you have to, because you're using the audio system and with video system, some of us, you need to have the appropriate environment for that. So it makes perfect sense for you to be, if you are in a certain situation and there is, the situation changes, like in your case, some noise came around where you are and you're unable to follow the satsang, it makes sense to look for a different location where that is quieter. Now, if that doesn't work, if it's not possible, then you do your best with trying to follow, if possible, or, well, then you just shut off your system, and you go have a cup of tea somewhere, or you do something else. This is, the universe is basically saying, okay, hey, listen, it's time to go have a cup of tea. There is no place that's available for you to listen to the satsang. Now, obviously, in your case, since you are still here, listening to the satsang and sharing your question with us, the situation has somehow changed and is allowing you to still be active, be participant. Now, your question is about, do I just tell myself I am, just to be present to whatever there is, whatever it is, and that's it? No, that's still at the mind level, and it's you can sense the forcefulness in that. Like sort of. Let me be present with whatever is happening. There is a truck coming at me. Let me be present at what is happening. I'm just thinking of an interesting story about this devout sannyasi, a devout Hindu that all the time prayed to the Absolute. Please, I'm putting all my life in your hand. Tell me what to do. Tell me what to do. I'm just listening to you. I'm going to listen to you and live according to your guidance. And so he is in the village, and there is this elephant that has a rider, and the elephant is running down the street. And this sannyasi is standing in the street, and the elephant is running towards him, and the driver of the elephant, the person who riding the elephant, is yelling, "Get out of the way! Get out of the way! Get out of the way!" But the sannyasi did not get out of the way, because he's saying, "God, please tell me what to do. God, tell me what to do." And then he gets trampled by the elephant and killed. And he goes in front of the the great Absolute, says, "What happened? I lived my entire life following your guidance, and I asked you what to do, and you got me trampled by an elephant." And then God tells him, "Well, I was telling you to get out of the way, but you didn't listen." Okay? So you have to listen to the entire package, not just to your ideas about how I need to do, to stand still and just be present, whatever is happening. No, because whatever is happening might also be telling you, "Hey, go have a cup of tea." You see? Because a thought arises to you, "Wait a minute, there is no possibility to follow the satsang here." The thought arises, maybe I just shut it off and go have a cup of tea. So that also is coming from God. So all you have to take in, making your decision, your action, You have to take in the entire, all the messages, not just the external circumstances, but also what is being spoken from your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Now, about being present, okay, I rarely, or actually ever, I don't think I ever talk about to be present. To be present. It is, how can you be non-present? Can you be non-present?
No.
No. So to be present is like saying to be. I mean, you are. It's not. There is no choice to be present, to be non-present. But it is about recognizing yourself, to recognize that you are presence. You are presence, awareness, aware presence. It's different from being present, because being present refers to somebody. It refers to some person, to some entity. God is presence. The Absolute is presence, beingness, the Sat, the existence. Yes, an aware existence, Sat Chit. Yes. So it's not about being present, but recognizing yourself to be presence. And presence is effortless, while to be present is an effort. Oh, I have to be present in this. Oh, it's so boring. I can't stand it anymore. This, you go to an awful concert where they're playing really awful music. They don't know what they're, and you have to be present. No. Why do you want to be present to something that you don't love? You can leave. If you are in a situation like you were in this a few minutes ago, was a lot of noise. So you drove somewhere else. Yeah, that's effortless. But to recognize yourself as being presence, because as long as you don't recognize yourself to be presence, you are in ignorance of what you are.
Yeah, I hear you when you say, I think when you say to be present, it's almost like I'm looking for a tool, an object. You know, I'm an object. I'm looking for a tool
Yes.
in order to accomplish something.
Right.
You know, in order to be present,
It's
in
too
order
much.
to be what's already there.
That's too much work, John.
Yeah, it is.
Complicated.
Yeah, I love it. Apparently, but
You love the complication.
I see it. So, or
Good.
consciousness.
Good. Okay. You love the complication, and you see the complication, and you see that you love the complication also, right?
It keeps the me going. So
Then there must be some
yeah,
other part of you that recognizes that there is something off about
yeah.
about loving the complication.
Yeah, and I think that energy, that stuff, I'm going to call it energy, but that kind of stuff has been prevalent in my life for a long time. So I think it does seem like it's taking time. But also one of the things I think, listening to what you're saying and just asking the question, always answers come up for myself even, and and that is simply sometimes is still the me is hanging on. Well, I need this satsang. I need to listen to Magni. That, you know, I mean, I'm going somewhere. This is important, and it is important. There is an important part there, but there's also the part that when it's all one, it's all there. It's so
Yes.
it's it's the only real thing. So I don't have to have it.
Well, we come together, John, because we love being together. We just love being together around the truth, around the contemplation of truth, upon the sharing. that in itself is satsang is love,
Yeah, it's beautiful.
and just love being together, looking the at the love that we are, and celebrating it, and celebrating it in the simple recognition of presence, the simple recognition of our borderlessness.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not somebody over somebody else. All that is the mind stuff. Oh, he knows, she doesn't know, he knows more, he knows this is favorite, that's not the favorite. None of that. That's so, it's so divisive, and silly in a way. It's childish
Mm-hmm.
that we come together to just because we love coming together. We enjoy.
Yeah, and beautiful and love and all that isn't just in the satsang. And it's not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. I
it's
mean, you,
it
yes,
is,
yes,
and so I'm seeing that, and so this is what's really being presented to
yes.
the
It's
person
yeah,
here. You know.
the recognition that I am this borderless presence. Yeah, it doesn't require a time and space.
Yeah.
See? And in that recognition is love. And in that recognition is that the heart is completely open. And the dream, the world body mind experience is beautiful. It's sweet, it's creative, it's celebratory, it's gentle, it's wise.
Yes. Thank you, Magni. Thank you. It's beautiful.
Any questions? Okay, if there are no other questions, thank you for your lovely company, and we'll see you on Sunday. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, see you, John. See you, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay.